Hello, today we decided to recreate our video tutorial on weather routing because the previous one is over 3 years old and Avalon got a lot of improvements since this date. We recommend that you have attended the easy routing with Avalon before attending this video. The easy routing is based on the port-to-port routing that you can trigger easily using the magic wand icon on the routing module. Avalon Offshore is a very powerful system, and it's impossible to cover all its functionalities in one video. So we'll, in this video, limit ourselves to definition and calculation of a simple route, description of the routing parameters, the easy selection of the most relevant weather models, the computation of the route itself, the analysis of the route. Then we'll look at the route summary and the route table, and in the end we'll calculate a more complex route that requires the positioning of waypoints that are with Avalon automatic. You will have to refer to our user's guide or additional videos to know more about waypoint management, definition of navigation exclusion zones, analysis of weather conditions in detail, the route management, the possibility to export, import, save, restore, etc., predefined routes, how to calculate our best starting time to integrate the weather or simply tides. We have also in Avalon an ETA routing, which is the possibility to define the arrival time and to calculate the starting time from this arrival time. This can be very, very useful and very easy. We also have a multi-scenario analysis that enable you to compare different route options, weather models, crew efficiency, boat efficiency, etc., etc. And we have the bathymetric routing, which where the route is defined as a function of your required draft. In Avalon, there are three main modules: one to calculate routes, one for the weather, in-depth weather analysis, and one for navigation, when you are at sea, of course. Those three modules are strongly interconnected, but correspond to really three different needs. You have on top 4 small modules below, one to contact us, one to connect to Avalon Cloud and synchronize your sailing data with the servers, one for the store to know if you have the latest version of Avalon or if you want to buy option from Apple or Google Play. And reset is used to reset the app without having to reinstall the app itself. Now we will define a simple route that goes from Ajaccio in Corsica to Stintino, northwest of Sardinia. To do that, we click on the folder option and click on Create New Route. So when I create a new route, I have the possibility to include already defined navigation exclusion zone, but we will come back to that in a future video. So I have simply to position by a long click the departure point, and same thing for the arrival point. My route is now defined, and you can see on the map that the direct route, i.e. the minimum distance route, is already defined on the map. Click on Compute to arrive to the basic compute route parameters. Avalon will download the weather data completely automatically. To know that, he knows already the navigation area, but need to know the estimated duration of the cruise. You can fix the duration of the cruise manually, or you can just click on the Find Duration button. With the premium subscription, Avalon includes more than 85 different weather models, be them wind and gust, currents, waves, and general weather forecast. To help you select the most appropriate model, you just need to click on Find Best. Of course, you can select the models one by one by clicking on the icon just next to the weather model. Before downloading the weather data, Avalon will test if there is newly updated data on our server. So the first refresh is only used when there was a data transmission problem. Start from my position is when you are at sea and you want to recompute a route from your currently position. And the depth level relates to the bathymetric routing where you can define a minimum draft. To calculate the route, click on Compute. This video is real-time so you can appreciate the speed of the system. When the calculation is completed, the route gets displayed on the map. When you click on the marker at the left of the screen, you have three ways to display the route, and you can display it as a straight line on the map. You can also display it as route points, where in front of each route point you can view the data that relates to this route point in the compass. If you want to see a complete overview of the wind conditions that you are going to get during the cruise, you can click on the marker 3 and you will get the wind as wind bars. For every route point you will get that date and time, the heading, the speed of the boat, the wind angle, the wind direction, the wind strength, the gust, speed, and also the recommended sail. And if you have computed your polars with Avalon VPP, you will also get the heeling and the reefing at this point. To get a route summary and also route details point by point, you can click on the table at the top of the screen. The route summary table will give you a very good view of what's going to be the cruise. So it will tell you the distance, it will tell you the starting time, the arrival time, and interestingly enough, it gives you a comparison between the direct route and the route optimized by Avalon. And in this case, it's very interesting because you see that if you follow Avalon guidance, you will maybe make 15 more nautical miles, but you will gain 1 hour, and even more important, you will do 11 and 30 minutes hours of sailing, while if you follow the direct route, you will only do 41 minutes of sailing. Depends on the conditions you've put and the parameters you've set before. With my boat, which is equipped with a Yanmar 54 HP, I consume 4 liters per hour. So you see that 11 and something hours saved. In the end, it's a big saving. And I got my money back of Avalon, just in one cruise and in a small cruise. So it's very interesting. Below that, you have also a summary about the number of tacks, the number of sail changes, the maximum speed, minimum speed, and you have a summary of the point of sail, the sail set, the sea status, and the wind status. If you scroll down on the same screen, you will access the routing tables that will give you, for every routing point, all the information you need: COG, SOG, TWA, the sail to use, TWS, gust, TWD, current, waves, and so on. To look at the routing parameters, you need to click on the blue gearbox top right of the screen. On Android, it's simply Settings. In these parameters, you will find the motoring speed. In this example, we've put 5 knots, but you tune it the way you want. The fuel consumption depends on your engine, and it will enable Avalon to size the savings you do when you follow the optimized route. You have also the motoring if SOG below, which is the threshold under which the motoring will start. And we have also another threshold because in some cases you have time, you prefer to do a lot of tacks, and you can decide to leave the motor off if the wind is above, in this example, 8 knots. You tune it the way you want, of course. Wind max and wave limits are limits that you can put to yourselves, limit above those you do not want to go. But of course, the more you put limit, the less Avalon has chances to find the proper route. So when those things happen, you always have the possibility to rerun your routing without the limit. Waypoint size is something that we'll cover in the complements, in the how to better use waypoints in Avalon. Polar efficiency day and night, 100%, you can decrease, but we recommend to decrease the polar efficiency in the both settings menu, because if you use the both setting menu, you can play with the efficiency cell set by cell set. The minimum depth, we will see that in the bathymetric routing, is to prevent Avalon to find route when there is the water level is below the limit. For example, in this case, we do not want Avalon to give us any route if the water below by high-low tides, coefficient 120, is below 2 meters above. Now let's look at the advanced settings screens. Search angle is important, but we recommend to leave it to 180 degrees. It is in fact the angle that the Avalon will explore in front of the boat to find the route. We recommend to leave the angle step and the precision to auto. After that, you can change the time you need to do a tack, the time you need to do a jibe, and the time you need to change the cell. However, we recommend to leave those numbers below the isochronic period. Wind extension is useful when you do a very long cruise that is above the forecast horizon that is available. For example, NOAA will give you about 3 weeks of data forecast. But if you do a transatlantic passage, you will need a little bit more than that. And you can extend the winds, and it will keep the same data above the 3 weeks that are currently real previsions available. This is valid in regions where the winds are very stable, for example, the Alizé. But in winds where it is not the case, this does not make any sense. We recommend to leave Earth detection on, because if you put it to off, then you will cross the land. Minimum TWA is the angle below which you do not want to go. Isochrones represent all the points that Avalon can reach in a given time frame, 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 or 24 hours. And it can be very useful because if you know how to analyze isochronic curves, then you will find route options that can be very, very good routes. Show previous route enables you to display the current route and the route you have just calculated, just before the current route. And compute time limit, or you can leave it to 60 seconds, it's just to force Avalon to quit the calculation if he has not found any route after 60 seconds, but this is never the case. I mean, if he did not find the route within 60 seconds, it means that there is another problem. Routes are not always so simple. In this case, we will do a more complex route where we want to go from Ajaccio to Porto Vecchio. To define this new route, the simplest way is to move the arrival point that was in Stintino, west coast of Sardinia, to Porto Vecchio, east coast of Corsica. So this route is almost impossible to calculate without adding waypoints to find the proper route through the Straits of Bonifacio. To avoid having to position the waypoints manually, you can use the automatic waypoint facility, and Avalon will put the necessary gates across the Straits of Bonifacio. Now just go to the compute again and click on compute to launch the calculation. And within 10 to 20 seconds, you get your new routes that goes as we want it from Ajaccio to Porto Vecchio. Of course, you have access again to all route points, route summary, route table, etc., etc. So I will conclude this video here. I thank you a lot for your attention, and do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel to be kept aware of the Avalon improvements.